friends, welcome to another episode of Killingly Public Library's craft videos. Today we will be making a bunny from a pom-pom, and it's going to look like he's eating a carrot that we're going to make out of some yarn as well. We want to start by making the carrot, and we're going to start with like a pie-shaped piece of cardstock. And you want to wrap it around itself and make it kind of cone shaped so that it's shaped kind of like a carrot. Okay, it's kind of carrot shaped, and I'm just going to put some tape on it to hold it. It doesn't need to look pretty because we're wrapping it up in yarn. We're going to wrap some yarn around to make our carrot, but first we're going to just put a little bit of glue on so that the yarn has something to hold it in place. So I just am going to run the glue stick right around the top, because this will be one of the places where it will need the most glue. And then I'm just going to run a strip down one of the sides. Okay, and then we're going to take some yarn and just start wrapping. And I prefer starting at the top, but you can start wherever you like. Okay, and the glue, this is why I put as much glue at the top as I had. And so we're just going to wrap all the way down, and I will wrap back up. It'll fill in any of the gaps that I may have missed. And when I'm at the bottom, I'll probably dab a little glue here. I have in the past, so I'm assuming I'll have to today. Dab a little bit of glue just to hold the yarn in place at the bottom when I get there. Okay, and I'll just fast forward through this and catch you when I'm at the top. Okay, and when you're done, you can just snip the end. You can dab a little glue with the toothpick onto your yarn right where it's ending and hold it in place. Like so. Oops. There we go. And that'll dry and hold. Now our carrot needs the greenery. So we're going to start by making a tassel with some green yarn. And you want to hold the yarn on your forefingers. You can hold it with your thumb and wrap your forefingers about 8 times, full circle around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My yarn is very thick, so I'm just doing 8. But if you have thinner yarn, you may want to choose to do more wrapping. And then just cut another small piece. We need to tie these ends together. Now my loose ends are up here at the top, so I'm going to tie at the bottom. If your loose ends are at the bottom, you can tie at the top. And just slide the yarn that you cut down through your fingers. So see, I've got it here pulled, and we're going to just knot it and tie it, or just knot it to tie it. Okay. Now that our knot is tied, we can take the ends and just flop them down with the rest of the tassel. That's fine. We're going to cut another piece of yarn, and we're going to wrap it around to tie, to kind of give the head of the tassel, and then here's the frilly part. Okay, so we're just going to cut a little bit of yarn here and start by making a loop. Okay, just need a loop, and the tail, the short tail, is just going to be hanging off the top of our tassel, and the loop is on top of the tassel, and this tail end we're going to wrap around the loop. Just a few times will be plenty. And when you're done, you're going to put it through the loop and then pull this end here, there. Okay? And now you can trim everything up. Cut your ends. And if you want everything to be the same length, you can trim it. Oops, I missed one. If you don't care, because, you know, is everything perfect in nature? Yes, it is perfect, but it's not necessarily symmetrical and even, I guess. And you can cut this tail if you want, or just stuff it inside your carrot. It doesn't matter. And there you go. A lovely little carrot for our bunny to eat. And I'm going to stick it inside this clay pot while I work on my bunny. So to start for our bunny, we want to cut some circles out of cardboard. Just 2 are plenty. My circles are 4 inches. You can make yours any size you'd like. And once you've got your circles, you can take and trace another circle in the middle. I have a bottle cap. It's about 1.5 inches wide, and that's what I'm using. I'm just gonna trace it right in the middle there. Okay, and then I want to take and just make like a wedge out of the circle. So I guess it kind of looks snow globe-like. I don't know if you can see that. So that is a way for us to bring the yarn in for wrapping to make our pom-pom. And we're just going to cut this out. Okay. Cut it out. That's kind of what the shape looked like. And you're going to put it on top of the other circle and trace it so that they're exact. So we have 2 matching cardboard pieces for wrapping our yarn on to make a pom-pom. And the reason I went with such a big hole here is I want a really full pom-pom, and the larger the hole, the more yarn you're going to be able to wrap around your cardboard. So just hold your cardboard together and wrap. And I start with my end up here so that it can be part of one of the frills for the pom-pom. Also, you don't want to wrap real tight. We're not trying to necessarily hold and bind the cardboard. We just need something to wrap around. But you want to do it loosely, because when we're done, you've got to get your scissors in there to trim the yarn and cut the yarn, and you won't be able to do that if it's bound tight. So I'm going to wrap this around and around and around. I have 35 yards of yarn here. I think it'll give us a nice full pom-pom. We'll see when we're done. Okay, I have finished wrapping. You can see why I made such a large hole in the middle, because it is full up with the yarn. If you had made, I don't know, maybe a 1/2 inch circle, you would not have gotten this much yarn wrapped around the cardboard, and you wouldn't have had a nice full pom-pom. So now we want to take, and I'm just going to hold the cardboard in place, but I'm going to get my scissors in between the 2 pieces here, and I'm just going to snip all the yarn. Okay? And I think we've snipped everything. Now you want to take a piece of yarn and bring it through the cardboard, and we're going to tie this off. Oops, I didn't snip this piece all the way through. Okay. So knot your yarn as tight as you can so that you don't lose all your yarn. You want to pull it tight, but you don't want to break it either. Okay, and then you can remove your cardboard templates. Now, I find one of the easiest ways to trim this, because it let's face it, this does not look like you want it to look, does it? But once we trim it down, it's going to be gorgeous, I promise. So I think one of the easiest things to do is to trace some cardboard the size of the pom-pom that you'd like. And so I wanted my pom-pom to be the size of this clay pot, the top of the clay pot. So I traced the cardboard about that size. And now what I'm going to do is just take the pom-pom, and I'm going to keep these strands that I have, trim them a tiny bit, but I'm just going to roll them up so they're kind of out of the way. But I like to have them as a handle for shaking out the pom-pom and getting it to be all frilly the way I want it. So I have it just balled up and laying down there. And I'm going to take and put this cardboard circle on top, and I'm going to put this other one on the bottom and make, like, you know, a big old yarn sandwich. And you want to make sure the cardboard's lined up as best you can. And then I want to trim all the yarn all around. So I'm just going to start cutting. And it's messy. You might want to do it over a trash can. And once you've trimmed off as best you can one side, just kind of flip it a little and make sure it looks kind of the same on the other side, because, you know, it's not easy to always get. See, look, there's a couple that just, I don't know if I matted them down with my scissors or however it went, so they're not quite trimmed like the rest. Okay, now that we have trimmed this as best as we can, we're going to remove the cardboard, and we'll find our big long strands here, and we're gonna kind of wiggle them into the middle. And now we're going to flatten the pom-pom in the other direction. So, kind of like so. And I'm gonna, again, just kind of wrap this up and stick it under the cardboard so that I can use it to shake out the pom-pom. And if you wanted to have the string on there for some other sewing project, for instance, that you weren't making what we're making today, you might need that, a little bit of extra yarn. So after you get this flattened down a bit and the yarn kind of moved away like you'd like, just put the two pieces of cardboard down again and line them up as best you can. Okay, and we're gonna trim around just like we did before. And once you've trimmed kind of that way, just flip it and check the other side, because sometimes there's little stragglers that just you can't quite see. It's so thick. Okay, shall we see how our pom-pom looks? Let's open it up and find those strands of yarn and pat it around a little. Be careful though, you've got your scraps here. You may still have found, after shaking it out a little, that you have a few pieces you've missed. It happens. They get tucked in there somehow. But you can take and trim them. See, I have a couple here that I would like to trim that somehow I missed. Isn't that a lovely full pom-pom? Okay, so I want to take my pom-pom and put it in my clay pot with my carrot. And I don't really need these strands here for anything anymore, so I certainly can cut them off. And if you feel like your pom-pom needs a little more trimming, certainly. And if you feel like, oh, this side looks better than that side, then maybe that's the side you want to have sticking out. But I'm just going to kind of stuff it in my clay pot here with my carrot. Okay. And now I want to cut some little feet for my bunny. So I have a little piece of brown felt. I thought it would look nice with the beige, but you can certainly use a different color yarn and a different color felt, whatever works for you. And I'm just going to fold it over so that I can just do one cut. And then they'll hopefully look like identical feet. And I kind of am making a little bit of an oval shape, but it's going to be narrower on one end than it is on the other. And that should look bunny foot-like, I guess. So that's my bunny foot. Nothing perfect, nothing fancy. If you don't like the way it comes out, you certainly can use a template and go that route. I just was doing it freehand. Okay, and after I have my bunny feet, I have some little toes that I cut out. I pre-cut them because they're just so intricate and tiny. You probably can't even hardly see those. But I'm going to glue them on to the felt, and we'll have little feet. And just give me a minute and I'll show you how they look. And there you have it. The bunny feet are done. And so I want to glue them under his bum here, but onto the pot, but kind of have some of the foot up a little like so that it looks like it's kind of attached to him. So we're gonna do that. We'll just glue it right on there. And you could use hot glue if you want to make sure that it's good and held on, but I didn't fire it up today. So there's one foot and there's 2 feet. And if you'd like, you could certainly take your toothpick again and put a little glue on the back of the felt and stick it to the yarn a little to make sure that it isn't, you know, flapping away from the back of the bunny. Okay, and now I'm just taking a cotton ball, just a cotton ball from the medicine cabinet, and I'm gonna put a little glue on with my toothpick. Again, you could use hot glue, but I didn't feel like plugging it in today. And I'm just gonna stick that on his bum. And you certainly could use a little white pom-pom. If you had some white yarn, you could make one. You could wrap it around fork tines. That works really great. And that would be about, you know, the size once you're done trimming it up. But isn't that kind of cute? Little bunny sticking out of the clay pot, trying to get his fill of a carrot. Well, I hope you enjoyed our craft for today, and I'd love to see your finished products. If you want to give it a whirl and try it out, you could send your pictures to info@killinglypl.org. We'd love to see them. And if you have any other ideas to share, feel free. And I'll catch you in another one of our craft videos. Thanks so much for stopping by today.